A mysterious virus has wiped out most of the planet's population. A man awakens in a massive pit filled with thousands of corpses, trapped with no apparent escape, even if somehow alive. Staring into his eyes, it's impossible to tell whether he's dead or alive, until he blinks. His body starts contorting and cracking, like a zombie or a person in withdrawal. Once awake, the man takes in his surroundings and realizes he's in a deep grave of decaying bodies. He spots a woman's silhouette above him and pleads for help. After a brief pause, she throws him a rope and then quickly leaves. As he climbs out, he discovers a revolver among the bodies. After trekking through a dense, rainy forest under the cover of midnight, he stumbles upon a cabin. With the gun now loaded, he steps inside and finds a group of people deep in discussion, talking about whether to help the man in the pit. When they see him, chaos erupts. Guns are drawn, accusations fly, and they all begin blaming each other for the deaths and questioning whose house they are even in. The man explains he woke up in a pit of corpses, remembering nothing, and that the Asian woman helped him escape. The group immediately starts criticizing her for assisting a stranger, especially since none of them know who he is. But he doesn't know who they are either. Suddenly, one of the men on the floor starts screaming, his body contorting and cracking just like the man's had earlier. A blonde woman rushes to help him while the others watch in shock. The main character demands to know what's happening and what's wrong with the man. The screaming man insists he remembers nothing, and the blonde adds that none of them can recall anything about their past. The group reveals that they have no phones or computers to contact the outside world, but they do have plastic badges with names. The blonde introduces herself as Sharon. One man says his name is Michael, and another, armed with a rifle, is Lucas. The man who just woke up is Nathan. However, the Asian woman and the main character don't have any identification. She remains silent, constantly sketching hieroglyphs. The man tries to figure out why she saved him and what she's writing. The others tell him she's mute. She can hear but cannot speak, and she doesn't understand English. However, it's clear she knows more than anyone since she was the first to wake up. The group decides to search the house, hoping to piece together what's happening. The main character pairs up with Nathan to explore a storeroom where they find a calendar with April 18th circled in red. Today is the 16th, meaning something is set to happen in 2 days. Meanwhile, Lucas and the Asian woman examine similar needle marks on their arms. In the meantime, Michael discovers a cupboard filled with weapons and ammo. The group decides to arm themselves for whatever may come. Sharon leads the main character to the showers, suggesting he clean up. Left alone, he experiences strange flashbacks for the first time. As he showers, he tries to recall who he is, his name, and what's supposed to happen on the 18th, but nothing comes to mind. Suddenly, someone shouts that the Asian woman has fled into the forest. The group grabs their weapons and goes after her, leaving Michael and Nathan behind to guard the house. While searching, Nathan realizes he can read Latin and medical terms, while Michael begins to notice that his body and hands seem to remember skills he can't explain. For instance, he remembers how to load a weapon quickly. As the rest of the group moves through the forest, our character recalls carrying a corpse with a scorpion tattoo. They soon stumble upon a man's body tied to a tree with barbed wire. As they scan the area, they realize he's not the only victim here. Suddenly, they hear a woman scream and head in its direction. They find a small cabin and step inside, where they see the Asian woman feeding another woman who is tied up like an animal. The tied-up woman becomes furious, accusing our character of using her daughter, and tries to attack him. He is forced to knock her out with the butt of his rifle. They also spot a CCTV camera, suggesting there's a control center nearby. The next morning, the group prepares to head back into the forest, leaving Michael and the Asian woman to stand guard. Out of nowhere, they hear a gut-wrenching scream from the woods. Michael finds a man tied up in a clearing with barbed wire and tries to help him, but the man suddenly chokes Michael with the wire and stabs him in the neck with a sharpened stick. Meanwhile, the rest of the group stumbles upon a pile of branches concealing 2 functioning cars. Lucas finds a photo inside one of the cars that shows everyone in the group except for our main character. Suddenly, the Asian woman appears, saying that Michael urgently needs help. The group rushes to him and attempts to administer first aid, but Michael chokes on his blood and dies. They decide to split up and search the area. The main character and Sharon arrive at an abandoned building where they see the number 18 written on the fence. As they explore the place, Sharon spots a boy running by. They chase after him, but the boy locks himself in a storage room. Through a small gap, they can see the boy and try to question him. The boy yells for Jonah to leave, warning that they are coming tomorrow. The main character is shocked to finally learn his name, Jonah, and is surprised by the boy's knowledge. In a panic, the boy releases a Rottweiler, but luckily, the door is strong enough to hold it back. Frustrated, Jonah tries to break the lock with his rifle, but fails. Meanwhile, Nathan notices Lucas becoming ill. Lucas suffers from a severe headache and strange flashbacks, showing that he somehow knows the Asian woman. In a panic, he grabs her hand tightly, but Nathan calms him down and tells him to rest. The Asian woman then leads Nathan to the cabin where they'd found the tied-up woman, only to discover that she has escaped. They head off in search of her and stumble upon some barracks in the forest. Inside, Nathan finds a pair of glasses that seem familiar. When he tries them on, he realizes they belong to him and experiences flashbacks of participating in human experiments. Nathan stays behind in the barracks, while the Asian woman returns to the house where she encounters Lucas again. He begins following her, repeatedly claiming that he remembers her. Frightened, she locks herself in the attic to get away from him. As Lucas searches for the escaped woman, he stumbles upon a basement. Inside, he finds medical vials, dishes with human brains, and a control station for monitoring cells. Strangely, all the cells are now open. Meanwhile, Nathan continues searching the barracks. In one of the rooms, he hears a woman crying. When he opens the door, he sees the woman from the cabin holding her dead daughter in her arms. She accuses Nathan of being a murderer and tries to attack him, but he manages to close the bars just in time. As he exits the barracks, he notices strange people closing in on him from all directions, screaming and clutching their heads. In the house's basement, Lucas finds a video camera and watches a recording. In the footage, Jonah explains that it is the 96th day of an experiment, and one of the test subjects has finally shown positive reactions to the injections. However, there is an unintended side effect: memory loss. According to the video, the subjects initially lose consciousness and appear to nearly die, but then they wake up with no memory of what happened. Lucas and the Asian woman are shown to be among these subjects. Meanwhile, Jonah and Sharon return to the house, where an armed and furious Lucas is waiting. Pointing the rifle at Jonah, Lucas accuses him of being responsible for everything, claiming that the experiments were his doing, and there's video evidence to prove it. Sharon demands answers from Jonah, but he insists he still can't remember anything. Lucas then shows Sharon the video, and with tears in her eyes, she sides with Lucas. Jonah tries to defend himself, but Lucas knocks him out with the butt of his rifle. When Jonah comes to, he finds that Lucas has dragged him back to the pit filled with corpses and dumped him in. As he fights his way out of the bodies, he comes across the girl with the scorpion tattoo, the one he presumably killed. Lucas, now in a frenzy, rushes back to the house where Sharon and the mute woman are. He demands the car keys, but the women can tell he's not in his right mind. Sharon tries to calm him down, asking him to sit and relax, but Lucas becomes increasingly erratic. He pushes Sharon aside and chases the mute woman through the house. When he catches her, he violently attempts to assault her. Sharon arrives just in time, firing a warning shot to scare Lucas off. He jumps out of a window and flees into the forest. Back in the pit, Jonah is struggling to breathe when the Asian woman appears once again and throws him a rope. After climbing out, Jonah tells her to head home and stay away from him, while he sets out to find the boy, who might know something useful. Returning to the building, Jonah discovers what looks like a field hospital. Inside, he finds a map with a rope marked on it. He's hit with more flashbacks, this time of himself asking someone to transport a container, calling it their last chance. Jonah hears a noise and encounters two infected individuals. In the chaos, he drops the car keys, which are quickly grabbed by one of the crazed women. She swallows the keys and attacks him, forcing Jonah to kill her. Later, we see Jonah driving a car, the bloody keys hanging from the ignition. On the road, Jonah comes across a group of people, including the boy. The boy's infected mother is tied up in the car, while the grandmother points a rifle at Jonah, warning him not to come near them with any more injections. Jonah tries to figure out what he had done, but they drive off before he can get answers. Nearby, Jonah spots the container from his flashbacks next to an abandoned car. More memories flood in. He recalls developing a virus that destroys the human brain, while the life-saving vaccine is in those flasks, intended for military use. Inside the car, Jonah finds the driver's corpse and an ID card with the name Jonah Cook, his name. He also discovers a photo of himself and Sharon, smiling and happy. Suddenly, a car comes out of nowhere and crashes into Jonah's vehicle. Behind the wheel is Lucas, now severely ill. This rephrased version aims to improve clarity while keeping the original tone and meaning. Jonah tries to calm Lucas, explaining that he meant no harm. In fact, he was trying to help. He prepares to inject Lucas with the vaccine, but Lucas suddenly attacks, attempting to strangle him. Jonah hits him with a stone, and Lucas calms down slightly. Jonah urges him to hang on, but Lucas says it's a living hell inside his head. Just before Lucas dies, he has flashbacks of thanking Jonah, along with the others, for saving their lives and restoring their memories. They had even toasted to their survival, but their celebration was cut short when an infected woman broke free from her cell, showing that not everyone had been saved. Meanwhile, Nathan regains consciousness, remembers everything, and rushes to find Jonah. He makes it to the house where Sharon is, and together they fend off the infected attacking from outside. Jonah races to their aid, and along the way, he experiences his final flashbacks of when everything started to fall apart. He remembers gathering everyone in the house to administer the vaccine, but an infected person pushed him into the pit of corpses before he could finish. Realizing he had been bitten, Jonah injected himself. As dawn breaks on the 18th, Nathan and Sharon continue to fight off the infected, while Jonah hurries to help. The sound of helicopters signals the arrival of the rescue team, and the infected begin to die one by one. Nathan suddenly recalls that the rescue mission was scheduled for the 18th. He frantically tries to signal the military, begging them not to shoot. However, the soldiers have strict orders to leave no survivors, and they kill Nathan. Jonah and Sharon, horrified, try to hide, while the mute girl escapes into the forest. On their way, Sharon begins to feel weak and realizes she was stabbed by the infected woman from the cabin. Jonah takes her to the pit of corpses, where they fall, hiding from the military. They inject themselves with the vaccine again, and Sharon hands Jonah a note to help him remember everything. The military arrives and throws more bodies into the pit, unaware of the survivors hiding below. Jonah wakes up later, having lost his memory again, and the note is lost among the corpses. He frees himself from Sharon's lifeless body, finds a gun in his pocket, and struggles to escape. Once again, the nameless Asian woman appears and rescues him. In the final moments, Sharon's voice can be heard off-screen, reading the note. It reveals that they were doctors fighting a deadly epidemic, and the mute woman holds the key to the cure, as she has a natural immunity to the virus. It is crucial to protect her to save humanity. In the last scene, Jonah and the mute woman stand at the edge of a massive pit filled with thousands of corpses. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and share your movie suggestions in the comments. We'll be back soon with more high-quality content to brighten your day. See you next time.